going on.
Thank you so much.
Feel like $1 million.
Shout out TMZ, you up?
Let me check out that rig.
TMZ stands for the Mayweather Zone.
How'd you find me, bro? I got my disguise on.
I love my TMZ family. Smooch.
Welcome to TMZ Sports. I'm Mike Babcock with my guys, Mojo Mutati, Lucas, Ray, Woodman. Guys, we're going to start with a really scary and a serious situation involving one of the best head coaches in NBA history. That guy right there, 76-year-old Gregg Popovich, who, of course, a couple of months ago in November suffered a stroke, did not coach for much of the NBA season, but has been on the mend. That is until Tuesday night when he was out to eat at a San Antonio area steakhouse around 8:30 at night, Lucas, when he suffered some sort of medical emergency that was serious enough that 911 was called and the paramedics rushed over to the restaurant where they got Pop, and you see him here, loaded onto a stretcher, Lucas, and put into the back of an ambulance where he was taken away to the hospital. Scary situation for the five-time NBA champion, who, again, is one of the best coaches to ever sit on an NBA bench.
Yes, and Coach Pop is beloved in the area, and we're actually told that this is an establishment that he has gone to for about 3 decades now. Everyone knows that he goes there, he gets food to go, everything like that, but from a witness that I talked to, he seemed a little bit different, and this could very well still be symptoms that he's experiencing from the stroke that he suffered in November. Now, we're told that he was there for a couple of hours. He was there with a few other people, and toward the end of the night, things just appeared off, and like you said, to the point where they decided we're going to call 911. And yes, they put him on a stretcher, put him in the back of an ambulance, and another source told me that he was actually alert and speaking by the time that he was put in the back of the ambulance.
That's good news. Do we know about his condition now, Lucas? Do we know if he's still in the hospital? Has he been released? What do we know about where Pop is now?
Another source told me that he is now back home. He is doing much better, and things are looking up to the point where that source hopes that he is able to make it out in time for Father's Day and to enjoy that holiday.
That's great news. Obviously, I think fans in San Antonio want Gregg Popovich to coach their team. Like we said, I mean, it's no exaggeration. He really is one of the, 5 or so best NBA coaches ever. And I think most people agree on that. But I think even more so than him coaching basketball is that you want Gregg Popovich to be okay, and you want him to be happy and healthy and be able to spend time with his family. So that is great news, Lucas. We'll see if he ever coaches again. Maybe he never does. But I think, Mojo, bottom line is it's great news that he's back home with the fam and seems to be doing better.
Yeah, and that's the mission now, is to make sure he stays that way. I mean, Coach Pop, one of the greatest to ever do it. I mean, this is a man that is accustomed to operating at a very, very high level, dealing with all kinds of life stresses that most people would never have to deal with at any point. So, hopefully he stays home and he rests and he does what he needs to do for the time being until he can 100% get back on his feet, because unfortunately, this is a guy that isn't getting any younger. He's 76 years old. He had the stroke. He's had medical issues. And it's very easy at this age and this point in his life for these things to just continue to snowball. The second you start to feel good, you go back out there and try to live normally, and you're just right back to where you started, except maybe even worse off this time. Probably a pretty scary scene for everybody that was at that restaurant, especially considering that he's a hero in that area. Crazy. He's been going to that same spot for 3 decades. I don't know, man. It just seems like a loyal guy. And that's just an example. Even with his restaurant selections, he's a loyal dude. So just happy he's okay and he's gotten the attention he needs, and he's back with his family where exactly he needs to be.
Let's get the elephant out the room. I don't want to talk about this too long. I'm going to just talk briefly and let it go. We talking about Shador. We ain't talking about nobody else. But his last name wasn't Sanders, we wouldn't have this discussion. The only reason we were having this discussion is his last name is Sanders. Okay? That's it. The root to all of it is personal. Sometimes we got to get out the way, man, and just be thankful for our people, others. Love thy neighbor as thyself. That's what the Bible told me. If we loved that neighbor truly, we wouldn't have a problem with nobody else.
because this should be a big honor for him, and yet it's being met with this. How's
He don't care. Let's get this straight. He's a Sanders. He don't care.
Mojo, there was obviously Deion Sanders sticking up for, defending his son, Shedeur Sanders, and the retirement of his jersey and his jersey number at the University of Colorado. Of course, Shedeur, who is going to likely be a top 10 pick, is certainly going to be a first-round draft pick next week when the NFL draft rolls around. He is going to have his number 2 retired, Mojo. And a lot of people have said that this is just completely crazy, that the guy has not even played a single snap in the NFL yet and should not have his jersey retired. Obviously, Deion Sanders feels very differently. Now, the University of Colorado has been around for a long time. They played football for 135 years, Mojo. They have, in that long history, only retired the numbers of 4 players in the past. Shedeur would be number 5. Travis Hunter, the Heisman Trophy winner, would be number 6, Mojo. And a lot of people have, frankly, said, hey, this is not fair. There are great teams from the past that have played for this school and have won big. In fact, go back to 1990, Mojo, when the University of Colorado won a God's honest national championship. And do you know that nobody from that team has their jersey retired? So, a lot of people upset, Mojo, including Chad Brown. Chad Brown, Mojo, was a second-team All-American back in the day, was a heck of a defender on that Colorado defense that won that championship, Mojo. We recently spoke with Chad, in fact, a little bit earlier today. We asked him, hey, Chad, what do you think about this?
We were a program which handed these things out all the time. And then I think myself and a lot of other former alumni would look at this through a very, very different lens. But considering how incredibly conservative we have been, and now to do it to 2 guys who are both on campus still, their graduating class hasn't even left campus yet. It feels a bit odd, a bit premature, and to not have some kind of waiting period. Even the greatest football player in all time, my former teammate Tom Brady, had to wait his 5 years to go into the NFL Hall of Fame. This is how these things work. So to not do any type of procedure, to not do any type of established norms with this, especially considering the conservative nature that the university has followed, it just strikes a lot of folks as very, very odd.
And again, Mojo, that's coming from an all-time great that has had, had reached great heights in accomplishment at the university. He says, nah, this is not right.
There are just so many considerations with this one, Babcock. I'm not even sure where to start right now. I mean, obviously, Deion started by saying, let's call it like it is. Let's go ahead and remove Travis Hunter's name from this outrage. And I think that's fair. You go out there and you win the Heisman Trophy. I mean, that puts you on a short list of just about any college's retiring of your jersey. You know, I mean, outside of the U and some of these programs that have had unbelievable teams, I mean, you're more or less a shoo-in. I mean, let's face it, Colorado football is a solid program, but they're not perennial contenders. So one of their guys winning the Heisman, that's a big deal. Travis Hunter, pull him out of this equation altogether. Shedeur, does he get to where he does without his dad being the coach and bringing in all the attention? I'm not sure. I think for a player like that, maybe this is a bit premature. That's my opinion. Chad brings up a good point. These guys are still on campus. They haven't even left yet. Then you talk about players like Chad who, you know, on that 90 team, they still haven't had their numbers retired. Now, granted, you can always do these things way down the line. Just because he hasn't had that happen yet doesn't mean they're never going to do it for those guys. But you got to be a little irritated when you're talking about 2 guys who are still walking the campus, getting this one from the start. You got to think a big part of this is obviously just playing off of the media attention. I mean, this is probably more media hype than Colorado has ever gotten for any of their sports programs, and maybe they're trying to ride the wave of that. They don't know how long Deion Sanders is going to stay. I mean, there's been some scares just recently that this man might be jumping ship, so maybe they're trying to take advantage of all that extra media love before nobody really cares if he leaves and they go back to being just an average program. That's where my mind goes mentally, Babcock, but a lot of good points being made with this one. It's a big-time discussion over there in Colorado.
Up next, Tom Brady surprises Pete Carroll's class at USC. The amazing video and TB12's advice to the students is coming your way next on TMZ Sports. Welcome back to TMZ Sports. Mike and Mojo. Mojo, Pete Carroll. He's done some things at USC before. He is no longer coaching the football team to national championships, Mojo, but he is coaching some students in the classroom, Mojo. So Pete Carroll, of course, who was recently named the Raiders head football coach, is one of a group of professors coaching or teaching, a class called The Game is Life. Well, Mojo, Coach Carroll had a little surprise for his students, courtesy of his new boss at the Las Vegas Raiders. Watch this.
He's like 5 times NFL MVP. This is the real deal. One of the great players that ever played the game, and one of the great competitors that ever played in professional sports. He happens to be my new boss. Meanwhile, he's doing the Fox thing. He's doing all kinds of. He's got his connection in so many different ways. Tommy, you ready to go? Can you hear us all right?
I'm your baby. I got you. All right. Let's go, Tom Brady, everybody. Oh man, this is crazy how this goes all full circle on us. So one of my oh my God, this is crazy. So one of my, remember I talked about being open to learning and open to people that know a lot more than you about stuff? I want to talk to you about a little bit of injuries, and Pete knows him well. And he's actually works with Pete now. His name's Alex Guerrero. And Alex, I learned so much from in my journey on the health and wellness journey that allowed me to play 23 years.
How cool is that, Mojo?
Dude, what's the wait list on that class, Babcock? There's like half
50 years.
Yeah, 50 years. It's like the Green Bay Packers wait list for season tickets, man. It's like you got to pass them on a few generations and hope they're still around by then.
Right.
This is nuts. It is also kind of crazy to hear that Tom Brady is Pete Carroll's boss. I mean, Pete Carroll, a guy that's been a head coach for years. Tom Brady just retired as a player.
Right, and Mojo, remember what Tom Brady's Patriots did to Pete Carroll's Seahawks in the Super Bowl.
You think that has something to do with that? And that being maybe one of the worst play calls in football history, costing them the game? I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of correlation. They've definitely had that discussion. But either way, back to the class. I mean, that's really, really cool. I mean, man, attendance, it must have been so hard to get a seat in there. But, I mean, they're going to be in a position to reach those kids better than anybody else. I mean, when you're literally learning from a celebrity, from a superstar, from someone that you want to be, that you might idolize, I mean, you are absolutely going to sit on every single word. I mean, most kids in college, they're asleep. They're doing other things in class. They're not paying attention whatsoever. They have 100% control of that room with not just one, but both of those guys on the screen. Really cool thing to see.
He's one of the biggest stars in the UFC, but does Paddy Pimblett have what it takes to be the face of the organization? The voice of the UFC Octagon, Bruce Buffer, answers that very question when we come back on TMZ Sports. Welcome back to TMZ Sports, Mike and Mojo. Mojo, Paddy the Baddy, Paddy Pimblett, is one of the most popular fighters in the UFC. That's never been up for debate, Mojo. The question was, how good of a fighter was Paddy? Well, I'm sure many MMA fans out there saw the absolutely dominant performance at UFC 314, co-main event against Michael Chandler, who is a top-line badass fighter, Mojo, and Paddy just, again, dominated him. It was not even a close fight. So now the question is, could this guy actually, with his popularity and his talent, be the face of the UFC, as fighters like Conor McGregor get to the end of their career, Mojo. Is Paddy the next guy up? Well, somebody who has seen all of these UFC superstars up close and personal is the great Bruce Buffer, Mojo. We were fortunate enough this week to run into Bruce, who announced the Paddy and Michael fight. We asked him, hey, does Paddy have what it takes to be the face of the UFC? Here's the great Bruce Buffer.
Paddy just like smashed, and a lot of people are saying like, man, this rise to the top is incredible.
Right.
Almost like Conor McGregor. You know, does Paddy have what it takes and the gravitas and all that to be the face of the UFC?
Well, there's many faces of the UFC, but to share that landscape, Paddy definitely has it. You know, fighters come along every couple years or give or take, which have what I call the it factor. And I measure fighters not by how they perform in the octagon, which he did an amazing job against an amazing fighter like Michael Chandler, who all of us, you know, love to watch fight. Win or lose, it's a pleasure to watch him fight. And he proved himself because he gets better with each time he steps in the octagon. He's improving on his skills, improving on his technique. I think most people don't realize how skilled Paddy is. But the opponents are getting harder, and he's going to move on. He's definitely going to be a contender on his way to eventually, I think at one point, going to be fighting for the championship belt. No question.
He'd know, Mojo.
Yeah. Bruce not wanting to necessarily hand over that moniker, probably for part of the reason being, hey, there's many faces, including myself, all right? Don't forget about the voice of the octagon with a question like that. I mean, look, it's a good point. I mean, he hit on a lot of things here. To be the face of a company, you can't just be good, and you can't just be a contender out that. I mean, you have to be a title holder to even enter the discussion whatsoever. And then that's not even enough. The face of the company has to be a long-term title holder, someone that's won it multiple times. But even without the title, they don't necessarily need the title to make them the face. They elevate the title. The title doesn't elevate that. You'll hear that all the time in the world of pro wrestling, of course. But yeah, you know, Paddy, I think there's a lot of similarities to Conor McGregor. I don't know if that's going to help or hurt him move into that highlighted top spot. You know, if everyone's just saying he's the next Conor, you want him to be the first Paddy the Baddie. And yeah, you know, it's about getting your name out there, doing a lot of things outside of the octagon and becoming a top star. You look back to Conor McGregor and what his recipe for success was. You look at Ronda Rousey, who was another one. I mean, these generational fighters, they do not come along too often. And yeah, now that Conor's time is ending, who's going to be the next one to step up and be the face? I don't really think there is a current one right now, right? I mean, maybe you could argue John Jones, but John kind of shows up, he fights, he does his thing, and he pieces out. He's not really necessarily looking to be in that position. It's not for everybody. So, I mean, the job seems to be wide open. Can Paddy be the guy? Bruce Buffer says no. He says it's him.
Jake Paul handpicks his next opponent. Details on which former champion will share the ring with the problem child when TMZ Sports rolls on right after this. Welcome back to TMZ Sports. Mike and Mojo. Mojo, last time we saw Jake Paul in the boxing ring was against Mike Tyson in November. Well, the problem child just broke some news about his next opponent. So here it is, Mojo. Jake says, 5 years ago, I stepped into the ring for my pro debut after one amateur fight, and every fight since has been a step towards becoming world champion. I just defeated the baddest man on the planet and broke multiple records, and now I'm going against a former world champion with 54 wins who Canelo could barely beat. Chavez Jr. is Mexican, but I, El Gallo de Dorado, Mexican, knock his bleep out. On Saturday, June 28th, live on DAZN pay-per-view, I will defeat Julio and make Chavez Sr. proud in ways Jr. never was. Viva la Puerto Rico, Mojo. If you didn't gather, he is fighting the son of Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., arguably the greatest Mexican boxer of all time, Mojo. Jr., though, not as great as his dad. I think everyone can admit that, Mojo, but a guy who is a former champion, a guy who did go to distance with Canelo Alvarez, and a guy who will step inside that ring with Jake Paul in just a couple of months, Mojo.
Well, there you go, Babcock. He is fighting a boxer this time. It doesn't seem to be one of these celebrity MMA retirement fights, and that's probably the move that makes the most sense for him, given all the recent criticism. But there he goes. He's doing this in Jake Paul fashion. I don't know if I would call it subtle trash talk. I mean, that trash talk was fairly obvious, but obviously going after the Mexican angle. I mean, let's see how Chavez is going to feel about that one if he's going to take it personal, and this one's going to heat up early. If not, I'm sure Jake's going to find a way to get it out of him as we get closer to this one. But either way, you wanted to see him box a boxer. Everyone's getting it now.
Yeah, Mojo. I mean, and look, I get it. He is not his father. Chavez Jr. is not senior, but he's a legitimate boxer. I mean, the guy has got 30-plus knockouts. He's got like 60 professional fights. So if nothing else, he's got experience. He's a little bit on the older side, but he's still only 39 years old. He's not over the hill. He's not ancient. He's not Mike Tyson's age. So I think this is a challenging fight for Jake Paul. We know he wanted Canelo Alvarez, but that broke down, unfortunately, and maybe it happens one day in the future, Mojo. We don't know. Hopefully it does. But I think this is a legitimate challenge for Jake Paul, and if he can overcome this next obstacle, I think it's another step in the march to Jake Paul becoming champion. A lot of people doubt him. He doesn't seem to doubt himself, though, Mojo. So we'll see. Again, that's going down in June 28th. I did like a Mexican knock his ass out. That is funny. We are out of time, Mojo. Big weekend, WrestleMania weekend. Mojo got a bunch of events going down in Sin City. We'll have a bunch to talk about on Monday, Mojo. Have a safe weekend. It's going to be a great show on Monday.
WrestleMania this weekend, Las Vegas this weekend, the Palms pool party with Mojo hosted the next 2 days is definitely going to make Monday the best show since today.
I'm a lawyer.